Well, good morning. Here we are for the second episode of installing Ubuntu on a virtual machine. This is take 3, believe it or not. I have nothing but problems on the other couples because of this Virtualbox. I finally got it to install, and Nginx got to install and operate. I never did get Samba to install. It kept coming up with errors. And the only thing I can think of, it has something to do with Active Directory that it was having choking on. So, but anyway, I finally had to reinstall Ubuntu, the server, onto the VirtualBox totally from scratch. After I did that, then I was able to run the install for Nginx, which is the web server. Here's how you do it. You use sudo apt install Nginx. And the reason I'm installing Nginx instead of Apache is the most familiar people are with, is because Nginx can be configured to do many more things than just a web server. It can be a gateway server. It can be a bit load balancing server, in addition to everything else. So, and it's also more efficient than Apache. It's faster. It serves pages quicker. So I wanted to do that. So I installed it. I finally got it installed by just doing this simple thing. And then also I'm going to show you this too, which I did as well. This is the firewall. UFW is the firewall for Linux. So you're going to have to enable it to where it lets Nginx come through the firewall. So you type sudo UFW app list to show you what is available. And here's what it comes up with. What I set this up to is Nginx full. Okay. See how it says sudo UFW allow? And the first time I did it, I forgot the little two quotey things there. It choked. It did not like that at all. So I had to come back and do it again and put these little single quotes around the Nginx full. And then it did it. Okay. If you do a status of it, it'll come up and show you this. It'll come up, say active, and show you what all the ports and everything that's opened up. But I didn't even have it, and I didn't even have the firewall turned on. So I created the rules first, and also I had to add a rule for port 22, so you could use SSH to get to it. So I did all of that, and then I enabled UFW. You do that by typing in sudo UFW enable, and it will turn it on, and next time it boots up, the firewall will be on constantly. So, this is what happens when you first install it. You go to the web page, it comes up and it shows welcome to Nginx. You do this from a machine that's on the same network as your server you just set up, and they'll get the web page to show you that the server was successfully installed. Now, for you to put your server, though, I'm going to minimize this and show you a few things. I'm already connected into the server with that Bitvice SFFTP part. I can tell you again, you need to download Bitvice SSH client. It's a tool that's going to be totally necessary for you to run your web server, because I use it as a file explorer. This is my main thing I do it for with it. So let's look at what happened when I installed Nginx. For one thing, it did these files on this side are the remote ones, which means that's the one on the server. And this side, the files are on my hard drive on my laptop. So I can actually upload files from my laptop to the server, which is how you're going to get most of your stuff on there. So anyway, on the server side here, when we installed Nginx, created a www folder down here at the bottom. You see this? That wasn't there before. When you install Nginx, it creates that. And inside of that, it creates an HTML folder, which is the default web server. As you saw on this thing here, this is the index file that is displaying right now. So if we go into here, we'll see it. It's the nginx.nginx.debian.html. That's the index folder that it's looking at. Okay. Now, but we're not going to mess with this. You want to leave that default setup alone because it's actually working, right? If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. So we're going to create another website, another web server. Pretend this is the one that you're going to put on the server permanently, and you're going to host goodies out of it. So first thing you do is you go into this www folder and you create a folder. In this case, I created one called Carol. And you do that by just using the make directory command. Sudo, let's bring this up here. You do it like this. Sudo make mkdir, and then the full path to where you're going to be. And we're going to make it Carol. I named it Carol, so I would have typed in Carol right here. Okay? That would create that empty folder, nothing in it. Okay? Now, if we look at what's inside that, we saw that already in that HTML folder, there's an index file already there. This Carol folder, I took the liberty of already creating an index file for it, and I used this thing here to upload it from my laptop to the home directory. Let's go back real quick. I'll show you that. Let's go back. It's important. Your home directory, Mike and Mike. This is the file that I uploaded. And I did that from my hard drive on my computer. I just clicked on it and it sent it right up here. Now this Bitvice does have authority inside the home directory because I'm logged into this from here. So it lets me copy and put stuff there. Once it's there, then I can go and use the DOS window, the terminal window in Ubuntu, and copy it from that home directory and put it in that var www directory, which is what I did. So let's go back there. Let's go look in there. Let's have a look, see what this file is going to do. This is a very simple file. We're going to edit the thing with Notepad so you can see the HTML code. All it's going to do is put hello world on a blank screen. This is the landing page, okay? Very simple. But this is how the basic is the foundation, because this is the same folder where you're going to put all of your stuff. But right now, even though this is here, this is not ready to go. You can't get to this for nothing right now because there's still more configuring we have to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the etc folder, nginx folder, and sites enabled. You'll notice there's a folder in here called default. That's the configuration for the web server for that HTML one that you saw. You have to have a configuration file for each web site that you have on your hosted on your server. So what we're going to do is we're going to create and we're going to copy this default one, and after we get it copied, I'll show you why. But let's just do that. Let's get it copied. So that's in that sites enabled. So we're going to do this. Let me see if I got it already in here somewhere. I might have it already typed. Yeah, let's just do it. Okay, sudo cp for copy, etc nginx /sites enabled dash enabled. Default. Space. And we're going to do it again. Except it's not going to be default. We're going to name it Carol, because that's the name of the website that we're configuring to use here. Password. Okay, let's take a look inside of what's going to be into default, and we're going to make it similar to. Let's go look inside here. We'll refresh this for now. Now you see Carol is here now. It's a copy of default. Now Carol, we're going to open it up so I can show you what it looks like inside. We are going to modify it, but not right here, because we still don't have rights with Bitwise to modify files. It'll let us look at them, but it won't let us touch them. But I want you to see what it looks like inside. We're going to be going down, and where this line here says server, notice there's no little hatchy marks there. Those are comments. The computer does not read anything that comes after a comment. So it is reading this. We're going to get rid of this default underscore server part, to where it's just listen space 80, and then the semicolon, and the same here. We're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to come down here to the root directory, change it from HTML. It's going to be changed to Carol. Okay? And we're going to leave this index line alone, but keep in mind you may at some point in time in the future be adding to it. And one word of warning: when you're messing with this folder, it is very picky about the syntax of anything you put in it. If you put an extra space somewhere, and Nginx will not launch. It'll have red stuff all over the place, and you will be fighting, trying to figure out what the heck is wrong. So make sure you don't change. You change as little as possible in here, and be very careful with your typing. If you have to add something here, go to the end, take a space, and type it very carefully in. Now, like we're going to do here, the server name, we're going to name it carol.com. We're going to make that change as well. And that's all we're going to do. So let's go do that now. Sudo nano. And let's see if I can, yeah, that'll work. Okay. Let's go down here to the server thing. We're going to do the same thing here. Scroll down. Go back up here to root. Carol. Now that's not the name of the server, that's the folder where all of your website stuff is going to be served out of. server name is going to be Carol.com. Delete. Now, that's it. That's all we're going to modify right now. So very carefully, I'm going to hit Control X, Y to save it, and enter to commit to it. Now then, we've got that in. We've got other things in there. Now we're going to restart Nginx to make sure everything is going to be okay. So now we're going to go sudo systemctl. Restart. Nginx. Alright, good. When it does that, that means it restarted successfully. And we're going to check the status of it. Before, if I would have made a typo in that file, just put space out of place, this would have came up with all kinds of red errors when I tried to restart it. So, look at the status of systemctl. There we go. See how I got the green in there? Green is a good thing. Before, I had red all over the place, and when I first started learning this, I had a dickens of a time trying to figure out what went wrong. So that's one of the things I'm telling you guys right now that you want to do in order to save yourself a lot of grief. So, alright, let's get out of here. Quit. Q to quit. Alright, we're back to there. Let's clear it now. Okay. Now I'm SSH'd into the server right now. Here it is. It's just I just haven't minimized the Virtualbox in the server. I'm doing everything remotely because it's easier. I can handle my DOS window a lot easier and show you how easy it is to manage a server without even being on it. When you use SSH and you use this terminal and you combine that with this tool, and you are good to go. So right now, if we were trying to go into the website, we would get there, but it's not going to work because I'm on a laptop. I'm not on the same network as the server is, because the server is in a virtual machine with an IP address that ends in 210. So if I was on the same network as the server was, all I'd have to do is bring up a web browser and type localhost, http://localhost, and it would take me to the website. So look at this as a lesson for you, because this is what you're going to have to do once you do get the thing up and running and get a DNS entry done for the website where people can get to it from the outside world. But we're on the inside world right now on our home network. So let's minimize this. And I'm going to show you what we had to do earlier before everything blew up on us on that take number 2. But there's a folder on your hard drive called the etc folder. It's under Windows, System32, Drivers, etc. There's a file in here called hosts. Now I've got Windows 11 here. I had to go in and modify this host file. Let's open it up with Notepad so you can see what's in there. Down here at the bottom, I had to add this line with the IP address of the server, the 210, and then tab carol.com, and then save the file. Now, when I tried to save it, of course, Windows 11 says, oh no, you have to be an administrator. You have to contact the administrator to do this. do you want to save it as a text file instead in the Documents folder? So I told it, yeah. So I saved it in the Documents folder as a text file. Then I renamed this host file. It would let me rename it, by gosh, but it wouldn't let me modify it. How about that? Isn't that the weirdest thing? So anyway, I went over to the Documents folder, found the darn thing, and I had to rename it to hosts and get rid of the .txt on it, and then copy it back into the etc folder. And I had to rename the one that's in here now that's bad. I had to rename it to get it out of the way. As you can see, I've modified that host file a lot. And then just right click, paste, and then it says, oh, you got to be an administrator to do this. I said, continue, and it did it anyway. So you got me. I do not know why Windows does the things it does. I'm not even going to try to figure Bill Gates out on that one. I tell you what. So anyway, now we got it already in there. So let's try to get to it. I'm going to open up a web browser on my laptop. And we're going to type it in like this. We're going to go http carol.com. And what's going to happen here is my browser is going to go out and try to find the IP address for carol.com on the internet. It's not going to be able to find it because it's not registered with the DNS. So what we'll do is it's going to go to the host file instead. So watch this. And it still ain't working. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, it's HTTPS. It doesn't need to be, it's not. HTTPS listens on port 443. We're on port 80, so we got to get rid of this S. Why does this keep putting an S on there? That is the weirdest thing. There we go. Let me minimize this. Okay. Now, there's a reason it didn't work before. I'm going to tell you what it was. I had to clear the temporary internet files for Edge because it was looking at the old one that I tried to before and couldn't get to it. So I had to clear the temporary internet files and try again. This is the web page, that HTML file that we copied up to the Carol folder on the server. And that's what it looks like. So this shows you that the web server is up and running. So, and that's a good thing. Now we've gone, let's see, 23 minutes. Let's go to the next step here on this. We got the firewall already going. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to install SQL Server. We've only had 23 minutes on this video, so we can keep going a little bit longer. So installing SQL Server is going to be a good thing, but there's going to be a little trick to it. I got to warn you before we get there. And let's just hope it goes in okay. So one thing you can do is I'm going to go from the, and this is another reason I'm going to use the, I'm going to copy this from the right straight from the website by hitting copy. And remember I'm SSH'd into the machine. The reason I'm SSH'd in because that lets me copy and paste from something on my laptop into this window. Whereas if I tried to do it into the terminal on a virtual machine, it wouldn't let me copy and paste. So here we go. Let's gonna do this. Type yes. SQL Server is a database program. for those of you that don't know what it's for. But the reason you're installing this is because you will find that when you're in your web development, there's times where you're going to want to use it, like for instance to create a visitor counter for your website, so you know how many people hit your site. You use the SQL Server database to keep track and save the entries every time somebody hits your site. So that's one of the things you're going to do. I'm working on another website right now for my main server for recipes, and I'm using the SQL database for that as well, to where people could upload the recipes and type in what they want to be posted for other people to get. And when they hit the submit button, it goes to the SQL server and saves it there. And then there's SQL code to display it too later. So that's the reason we're doing this. There's the trick to this though is it's going to be a part where we're going to run it's installed and it's not really secure. We need to secure it a little bit once it gets done installing. So we're going to wait on that right now to finish up. It doesn't take that long really. A lot of these are dependencies that it uses. There we go. Okay, it's done. Let's go back to the website. The next step, we're going to do this. Let's copy and paste that one. Clear first. Here's the part we got to be tricky with. Okay, right here. Validate password component can be used to test. We're going to say no to this. If you said yes to this, like I did the first time I did it, I had spent a lot of time with a lot of grief, because SQL is going to still be secured down, but we're going to be doing a password for it later, but not right here. So I'm just going to hit no. Okay. Now it says remove anonymous users. No, it says skipping. Let's read this real quick. Skipping the password reset for root and authentication with auth socket is used by default. That's why, because SQL will use the auth socket for authentication, which means anybody that logs into SQL on the machine, physically on the machine, as with sudo, is going to be authenticated. You don't need a password to be an administrator. Okay. Now we're going to remove anonymous users, which is going to be yes. So we type Y for yes. Disallow remote login. Yes, disallow it. And remove the test database. Yes. And update the privilege tables. Yes. All done. All right. That's good. This is the kind of grief you'd go through if you would have said yes. And what happened with me was I chose to use 2 for a medium password length. And man, did I get stuck here. I couldn't get past this for nothing. It didn't like any password I used. None. And I do not know why. I had done every combination I could think of and just could not get it. So anyway, that's how it goes. Now if we want to get logged into it, let's go show you how to do that. Clear this again. You right click, paste it in. There you go. We're on SQL right now. Here's where we could create databases and things like that. Next step we're going to install PHP. So let's go back here and exit out. To get out of here, all we got to do is type exit. And it says bye. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install PHP, because that is going to be what you're going to use to talk to from your website. And PHP is going to talk to the SQL server through PHP. We have to install these two items because Nginx needs them. Okay. We're going to change one thing here, though. That website was done years ago. So there's newer versions of PHP out there now, so I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm running 3 right now. There might even be a bit more than that out there. But remember I said, I'm a firm believer that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm not gonna try. Let's see if this will go. I had troubles with this before too, trying to get it to install. Good deal. All right. No news is good news, they say. No, didn't see anything red. So that came in okay. Now we got to configure it. I'm way ahead of them. I already did all this with the domain and creating the site. But we got to add this. You remember that configuration file that I told you to be very careful what you type in? What we're going to do is we're going to have this. Let's go ahead and grab this. I'm going to try. I'm taking a chance here. Right click, copy. Okay. All right. We're going to make a backup copy of that file that I told you to be very careful with before we touch it. name it .back, okay? Because what it is we don't want Nginx to find it. All right, now we're going to modify it, the Carol one. We're going to do that very carefully too. All right. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to get rid of everything. So I'm going to hold the Control key down and hit the K. I'm going to empty this whole file. Empty the whole thing. And now I'm going to go up here and we're going to right click and it's going to paste it in. Now, hopefully it went okay. So I'm going to go up here to the top. The server name is going to be carol.com. Let's delete this. And then www.carol.com. Delete. Carefully delete. Okay. Root, once again, the root directory, we're changing that to Carol. Delete. Okay. And we're going to go down here and make a change to this one down here. It's going to be PHP 8.3. Okay, everything looks okay. I'm going to hope and pray this is okay. Let's hit the Control X. Yes. Enter. Now, the trick is to restart the server and Nginx and hope we don't see anything red. So, perfect. Excellent, 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 excellent. With this, one thing you have to notice with this Bitvise, you have to hit this refresh quite often to get stuff to show up. So let's take a look at this now. Let's go edit with Notepad. I'm not worried about editing with Notepad because it won't let me make changes there anyway in that folder with this Bitvise. So there is one thing missing up here. There should be another one, another entry like that. But let's not worry about it just at the moment. If it's working, it's working. That's all I care. Okay, now we're going to want to test it. What do you say we test it now? So let's go down here. I'm skipping all of this because we don't need to. We're already in the sites enabled stuff. And we already reloaded that. Now we already tested this. We already got that in here. We already did that. And we already did this hello world. We already tested it. Okay. Now, we're going to test the PHP part with Nginx. We're going to do this. Copy this. It didn't copy the sudo, so we're going to put sudo in. And change this to Carol. And this is going to be a blank file. And we're going to create something here. The good thing is, these files like this that aren't in the configuration, these aren't as touchy. Man, I tell you what, that one file in that etc folder, boy, it's horribly touchy. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this, and that's missing a component. There should be another thing down at the bottom of that. Yeah, that's missing it. They put the wrong thing in here. I'll show you in a minute because this isn't going to work. We need to make one more line here. And it has to be, I think it's a question mark. I believe it's a question mark. And a right arrow. Now let's save this. Control X. Yes. Now we have this folder called, info.php in there. So if we go down here and do the HTTPS and put Carol's name in there, .com/info, watch what happens. Info.php. Now, this is putting out a lot of information about the PHP installation on your server. So there's a lot of critical stuff that you would not want people in the outside world to see. But this is just for testing purpose to show you that PHP is in fact working. It shows you what version I got installed, 8.3.6. Ton of stuff in here. Most of it I have no clue what it is. As you can see, that PHP does a lot of stuff if you needed to. So this is just to show you that it works. Okay. What we're going to do though is we're going to get rid of that file because you don't want it by accident anybody seeing it. So we'll just delete it. Now that we know PHP is working. RM to remove. All right, it's gone. Okay, now the fun stuff. We still got enough time here. We're going to get rid of this. Testing it with a connection. Testing the database with PHP. This is where it gets fun. And currently, this is what I'm using right now. I'm on my server. I'm creating a website for recipes to where people can go and type in their favorite recipes, and it will save it into the database for other people to see. So it's like a database for sharing recipes, and I'm using SQL database for that. And it's going to be something similar to this. So we're going to be testing this. Now is where we're going to really get into the nitty-gritty with SQL. So we're going to do this here, copy SQL. And this here is going to be this is the SQL code. It's going to create a database. So first off, let's log in. Let's log into SQL. Next one we're going to do, if it doesn't freeze up on me, now it says example database, but if you wanted to create your own, you'd name it something else, okay? But we're just following this to show you how this works. Okay, the database is created. That's where you get the OK. Now we're going to create a user. Example user. Now the password, here's what you would do. You need a user that's going to be like an administrator for the database on every database you create. So you want to create a user. I would say this one is example user for now. You'd replace example user with your name or somebody else's name. And then down here where it says MySQL native password by, and then a password, you'd put in a password for it. In this particular case, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it password because we're not going to be worried about that. Okay, so now we're going to hit enter, and it's done. Okay, let's go back. We're not done yet. Exit, and we're going to log in as an example user. So let's I'll copy that right now while I'm here. We'll type exit. You know, there's something here that it just doesn't make sense. But let's go ahead and exit anyway. And you want to log in the new user you just created. We're going to log in. Password was password. Okay. Now example user is now logged in. And if we do the show databases, he should be able to see it. It should look like this. Yep. See it? Now he's able to look at this database that was created. Now we want to create a table. So he's going to create the table. Something's telling me there's something wrong here, because it seems to me that he needs to have the rights to create that table, and we haven't given him the rights yet. Yeah, I'll bet you money. I'll bet you it's not going to work. Let's try it here. Okay, create the table. Denied. Damn it. Okay, I figured out what the problem was. When we created that user, we forgot to give him his password. I forgot to copy this one, which grants him all full permissions on that. So let's go ahead and do that now. He's logged in right now, but we're going to get him out of here. So let's type exit. because obviously he can't give himself administrative privileges. So. Okay, now I'm logged in with my privileges, administrative privileges. So I'm going to run this command. You'll see it says grant all on the database dot asterisk means everything in it to example user him. All right, now we can go back and create those tables. Okay, that did it okay. I gave him the privileges, but that I still created the table anyway while I was in here. He could have done it now too after I gave him the privileges. So let's go exit. And let's get him back in there again. I'm not sure why, for him to log in, why it has to be these switches. They don't mention why. They don't mention why. Okay. He just created the, we'll pretend he just created the table. Okay. We're going to copy this. And we're going to do that several times. Several times. See, there's 4 times. Okay. We got 4 entries. What this did was inserted into the database a to-do list. This is going to be the table it created and the content. And the content, the value of the content entry is my first important item. So there should be 4 of those when we get to go look at them. So we're going to go down here. And we're going to do this, copy this one. And this is going to select from the example database a to-do list. Clear this out first. Oh, it won't let me do that. I'm in SQL right now. All right. Okay, see there? Here's the content column. These are the rows. Each row I hit enter added another entry into another row into the database. Okay, we're going to exit out of there. And we're going to make a file. I'm going to copy that. But let's get out of the SQL. Okay. going to create a text file, another one, a PHP file, called to-do list. But we need to make this, we're going to create it in Carol's folder. And this needs to be sudo, remember. All right. Here's what we're going to put in it. And we're going to modify it. Okay. Now up here at the top, password's password, database. Good. We don't have to do much because it's example user, password's password, and database at, to-do list. Okay, we don't have to do a darn thing to this. So let me save this. So it's going to be Control X. But if this was your own database, you'd probably have your own username and a username password, which wouldn't be password, it'd be something more complicated. The database name would be one you created, and the table you created. So let's just, since this is the one that's already done, let's just get out of here. Now it says to-do_list.php. Remember that, because now we're going to go to the website and do this, and it should come out looking like this. Slash to-do underscore .php. And let's see what we got here. There we go. So this is the importance of using PHP with SQL on your website. It makes your Ubuntu server actually do something productive for you instead of just looking at a black screen. So anyway, let's stop this particular video for now. I've still got so much more really cool stuff to share with you, and we'll probably do that on the next one. So you have a good one now. Bye-bye.